The silence in the chamber was crushing. Ambassador Jiwon Park stood alone at the center of the Nexus Station's Grand Council Hall, surrounded by representatives from 200 alien species. Above her, the holographic display showed the final vote count in glowing numbers that seemed to burn into her vision. Denied. Earth's application for membership in the Galactic Council had been rejected. Jiwon kept her face neutral, though her heart pounded in her chest. She had spent 15 years preparing for this moment, learning alien languages, studying their cultures, negotiating treaties. Earth had done everything asked of them. They had shared their medical technology, resolved 3 border disputes between warring species, and opened their markets to galactic trade. They had proven themselves peaceful, cooperative, and valuable. Councillor Velrith rose from his crystalline throne. The Aquilon leader was ancient, his scaled skin shimmering with an iridescent blue that marked his high rank. When he spoke, his voice carried through the chamber with artificial amplification, each word measured and cold. Humanity has shown remarkable progress in a short time, Velrith began, and Jiwon felt a flicker of hope. However, the Council has determined that your species remains too unpredictable for integration into civilized galactic society. Your emotional volatility, your aggressive territorial instincts, and most concerning, your rapid technological advancement, without corresponding cultural maturity, present risks we cannot accept. The words struck like physical blows. Jiwon wanted to argue, to defend her species. But protocol demanded silence until she was given permission to speak. That permission never came. Another counselor, a floating creature of pure energy named Luminex, added to the condemnation. In merely 2 centuries, humans have gone from primitive combustion engines to faster-than-light travel. Such rapid advancement historically leads to instability and conflict. The Council must prioritize the safety of its member worlds. Jiwon finally found her voice. With respect, Counselor, humanity's rapid advancement shows our adaptability and intelligence. We have done enough. Velrith's voice cut through her words. The decision is final. Furthermore, the Council has voted to implement protective measures. Effective immediately, Earth and all human colonies are prohibited from trade with Council member worlds. Your vessels are restricted to your home system. Monitoring stations will be established at the boundaries of human space to ensure compliance with these restrictions. The chamber erupted in a mixture of approval and uncomfortable murmurs. Jiwon stood frozen, processing the magnitude of what had just happened. Not only had humanity been rejected, but they were being quarantined like a disease. They were being exiled from the galactic community before they had ever truly joined it. You may leave, Ambassador Park, Velrith said with dismissive finality. Jiwon turned and walked out of the chamber with measured steps, refusing to let them see her despair. Behind her, the Council moved on to their next matter, as if the fate of an entire species was nothing more than a minor administrative task. 2 weeks later, back on Earth, Jiwon stood in the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva. The building was new, built from materials traded with alien civilizations during Earth's brief period of galactic contact. Now those relationships were severed by Council decree. She watched as Director Hyunwoo Kang addressed the assembled representatives of Earth's nations and colonies. Kang was in his 60s, a career diplomat with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He stood at the podium without notes, his voice calm and steady despite the crisis. The Galactic Council has made their position clear, Kang said. They see humanity as dangerous, as children playing with fire. They have decided to lock us away until we, in their estimation, grow up. This could take centuries, by their standards. Perhaps millennia. Angry voices rose from the assembly. Jiwon heard calls for military buildup, for defiance, for finding ways around the restrictions. Kang raised his hand for silence. I understand the anger. I feel it too. But we will not respond with rage. We will not prove them right by becoming the aggressive species they fear. Instead, we will prove them wrong in a way they never anticipated. He pressed a control, and a holographic display filled the air above the assembly. It showed star charts, economic projections, cultural indices, and technological roadmaps. If we cannot join their civilization, we will build our own, not through conquest or military might, but through innovation, trade, and culture. We will become the civilization that other species want to join. A woman stood from the assembly. Dr. Minji Choi was young for her position as chief economic strategist, barely 40. But she had been instrumental in negotiating Earth's early trade agreements. She carried a data tablet and moved to stand beside Kang. "We call it the Dominion Protocol," Minji explained. "Not a dominion of territory, but of ideas and opportunity. While the Council has forbidden their members from trading with us, there are thousands of unaffiliated species and independent worlds throughout the galaxy. We will reach out to them. We will offer fair trade, honest dealing, and partnership based on mutual benefit, not hierarchy." She pulled up economic models showing potential trade networks. "The Council operates on a system of tribute and obligation. Smaller species pay fees and taxes for the privilege of membership. We will offer something different. Equal partnership, investment in developing worlds, technology sharing, without strings attached." Another figure approached the display. Captain Dae-Hyun Lee commanded Earth's largest diplomatic vessel, the New Horizon, then UNES, and Sensen. He was a former military officer who had transitioned to diplomacy, bringing tactical thinking to peaceful missions. "We have already identified 200 species that the Council considers beneath their notice," Dae-Hyun said. "Developing civilizations, independent colonies, nomadic fleets. They are hungry for what we can offer. Respect, opportunity, and a seat at the table. I propose we begin outreach immediately." Kang nodded. "The Council expects us to wither in isolation. They expect us to beg for readmission on their terms. Instead, we will thrive. We will build relationships they cannot control. We will innovate beyond their imagination. And when the time comes, they will realize their mistake." Jiwon felt something stir in her chest. It was not the hope she had felt before the Council vote, that naive belief that reason and good intentions would prevail. This was something harder, more resilient. It was determination. "How long will this take?" someone from the assembly asked. Minji smiled. 3 generations, maybe 4. But our grandchildren will live in a galaxy where Earth is not a rejected supplicant, but a beacon that others navigate toward." The assembly voted. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would not beg for acceptance. They would build something better. As the meeting ended, Jiwon approached Kang. "Do you really think this will work?" The director looked out the window at Earth below, blue and beautiful, and full of billions of humans who refuse to accept the limitations others placed on them. "The Council judges us by our past," Kang said quietly. "They do not understand that humanity's greatest strength is that we never accept the world as it is. We always imagine what it could be. They have made their choice. Now we will show them the consequences of underestimating human stubbornness." Jiwon smiled for the first time since the vote. They had been exiled from the Council. Now they would build something the Council could never imagine. They would build not an armada, but a dominion that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization itself. The work began that very day. The New Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of an unremarkable star system. Captain Dae-Hyun Lee studied the scan results with practiced eyes. 3 planets, 2 of them inhabited by a species the Galactic Council had dismissed as technologically primitive. The Kalari people had developed basic spaceflight but nothing more advanced. To the Council, they were irrelevant. To Earth, they were an opportunity. "Send the standard greeting package," Dae-Hyun ordered his communications officer. "All known languages, peaceful intentions, request for dialogue." The response came faster than expected. Within an hour, a small Kalari vessel approached. broadcasting welcome messages in broken but understandable galactic common. Daehyun smiled. Unlike the Council's elaborate protocols and formal procedures, the Kellery seemed genuinely excited to meet someone new. The meeting took place aboard the New Horizon. The Kellery delegates were humanoid, with bronze skin and large eyes that reminded Daehyun of Earth's owls. Their leader, whose name translated roughly as Brightwater, looked around the human ship with obvious fascination. The Council sent surveyors to our world once, Brightwater explained through the translation device. They took notes, declared us not ready for contact, and left. That was 30 of your years ago. Since then, nothing. We have been alone. Daehyun nodded. Earth knows what it feels like to be dismissed. We are not here to judge whether you are ready. We are here to offer partnership. If you are interested. He pulled up a holographic display showing trade goods, technology exchanges, and cultural programs. The Kellery delegates leaned forward, their large eyes growing even wider. You would share this technology? What do you want in return? Brightwater asked, suspicion creeping into his voice. The Council always speaks of costs and obligations. We want trade partners and friends. Daehyun said simply. You have resources we need. We have technology you want. We exchange fairly. No tribute. No obligations beyond basic treaties of mutual respect. If it works well, we continue. If not, we part as friends. Brightwater looked at his companions, then back at Daehyun. Why would you do this? What advantage does Earth gain? Daehyun chose his words carefully. Earth was rejected by the Council. They say we are not ready, not mature enough to join civilized society. They have locked us in our home system and forbidden their members from dealing with us. We could accept their judgment and wait, or we can build something new with those they have overlooked. Understanding dawned in Brightwater's eyes. The Council's mistake is our opportunity. Exactly, Daehyun agreed. They believe the galaxy revolves around them. We will show them otherwise. 3 months later, the Kellery trade agreement was finalized. It was the first of many. Back on Earth, Minister Yoona Kim watched the economic reports with satisfaction. 20 new trade agreements in the first year, 50 by the second. The Terran credit, Earth's new currency, was being adopted by independent worlds as a stable alternative to Council currencies that fluctuated based on political favoritism. Yoona sat in her office in Seoul, surrounded by holographic displays showing trade routes, commodity prices, and economic projections. Her assistant, a young economist named Taeyang, brought in the latest report. The Council is starting to notice, Taeyang said. 3 of their border worlds have filed complaints about independent merchants, preferring to trade with Earth-aligned systems rather than Council markets. Yoona allowed herself a small smile. And what does the Council say? They are investigating unfair trade practices. They suspect we are offering below-market prices to steal their trade partners. Are we? No, Minister. Our prices are fair. Better than fair. The Council's problem is that they have been overcharging for centuries. And now, their trading partners have an alternative. Yoona nodded. This was exactly according to plan. Earth was not competing with the Council through military power or political pressure. They were simply offering a better deal. Free markets had a way of resolving themselves toward efficiency, and Council inefficiency was legendary. Increase our investment in the independent worlds, Yoona ordered. Infrastructure, education, medical facilities. Show them that partnership with Earth means genuine development, not exploitation. While trade networks expanded, Earth's scientific community worked tirelessly on innovation. Dr. Seokjin Han led Project Genesis from a research facility in orbit around Mars. The project had one goal: make Council technology obsolete. Seokjin floated in the zero-gravity laboratory, studying the prototype quantum communication relay. Traditional faster-than-light communication required massive relay stations that took years to build and cost fortunes to maintain. The Council controlled most of the major relays, giving them enormous power over galactic communication. Earth's relay was different. It was small, efficient, and could be mass-produced. A network of these devices would allow instant communication across vast distances without relying on Council infrastructure. "Run the test," Seokjin ordered. The relay activated, connecting to an identical device in a ship orbiting Jupiter. The connection was instantaneous, clear, and used a fraction of the power of Council systems. "It works," his assistant breathed. Seokjin smiled. "Begin production. Every Earth vessel gets one. Then we offer them to our trade partners, free of charge, for the first year." The implications were staggering. Independent worlds could communicate without Council monitoring. Trade coordination would become easier. Earth was not just building an economic network. They were building the infrastructure of a new galactic civilization. While technology and trade advanced, Earth launched its cultural offensive. Producer Yoonji Nam stood in the broadcast center of the Galactic Entertainment Network, reviewing the day's programming. Human music, films, art, and stories were being transmitted across open galactic channels, free for anyone to access. The response had been overwhelming. Alien species across the galaxy were discovering human culture with fascination. Human emotional depth, creativity, and diversity were unlike anything most species had encountered. Council culture was refined, controlled, and frankly boring after thousands of years of tradition. Human culture was wild, passionate, and constantly evolving. Unji watched a real-time feed of viewership numbers. Millions of aliens were watching human entertainment. They were learning human languages, adopting human fashions, and discussing human philosophy. Earth was winning hearts and minds through the simple act of sharing who they were. A message appeared on her screen. It was from a young alien on a Council world, thanking her for a human film that had moved them to tears. The alien wrote that they had never experienced such emotional storytelling before. They wanted to visit Earth someday. Unji smiled. Soft power was working. The first major shock came 3 years into the Dominion Protocol. The planet Kellar, a minor member of the Galactic Council, announced its withdrawal. Their representative delivered a speech to the Council, explaining their decision. "For 200 years, Kellar has paid tribute to this Council. We were told it was the price of civilization, of protection, of access to galactic society. Yet in 3 years of partnership with Earth, we have gained more than in 2 centuries of Council membership. Earth invested in our infrastructure without demanding control. They shared technology without restrictions. They treated us as equals, not subjects." Councillor Velrith stood, his scaled face showing rare emotion. "This is a grave mistake. Earth is manipulating you with false promises. Earth's promises are not false." The Kellari representative replied. "They are simply better than yours. Other worlds are watching, Counselor. Kellar will not be the last to leave." To Kellari Ref. Kellari Ref. Kellari Refdazerwan. The representative walked out of the chamber. Behind him, dozens of other minor members whispered among themselves. The Council's absolute authority had been challenged. A crack had appeared in the foundation of galactic order. On Earth, Director Kang received the news in his office. Jiwan stood beside him, both of them watching the broadcast of Kellar's withdrawal. "It is beginning," Jiwan said quietly. Kang nodded. "Faster than we projected. The Dominion Protocol assumed it would take a generation to see major shifts. We are seeing them in years." 1. "The Council will not take this lying down," Jiwan warned. "No, they will not," Kang agreed. "But we are not doing anything illegal. We are simply trading, sharing culture, and offering partnership. If the Council tries to stop that by force, they will reveal themselves as the tyrants many suspect them to be." Jiwan looked out at Earth below. Somewhere down there, millions of humans were working, creating, innovating, and building the foundation of something unprecedented. They had been exiled from the galactic community. Now they were building a new community, one that offered freedom and opportunity instead of hierarchy and control. The foundation had been laid. Now it was time to build higher. Administrator Sun Ho Bei walked through the corridors of Unity Station, humanity's first deep space construction designed specifically for galactic diplomacy. The station orbited a neutral star system, far from both Council and Earth space. Here, representatives from 200 independent worlds gathered for the formal establishment of the Terran Economic Zone. The conference hall was vast, designed to accommodate the incredible diversity of species that had answered Earth's invitation. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some stood on legs, others floated in containment fields. Some communicated through sound, others through light or chemical signals. Yet they all shared one thing. They were tired of the Council's control and excited about Earth's alternative. Sun Ho took the central platform, his translator broadcasting his words in every language present. Welcome. 10 years ago, Earth was rejected by the Galactic Council. They called us dangerous, immature, and unready for civilization. They were wrong about our character, but right about one thing. We would change the galaxy. Just not in the way they feared. A wave of approval sounds rippled through the hall, from clicks to hums to colors shifting on alien skin. Today, we formalize what has grown naturally between our worlds. The Terran Economic Zone is not a government. It is not an empire. It is a partnership based on mutual benefit, voluntary association, and respect for sovereignty. Any world can join. Any world can leave. We succeed together, or we do not succeed at all. The vote was unanimous. The Terran Economic Zone was officially established. What had been a loose network of trade agreements became a formal alternative to the Galactic Council. The galaxy now had two major powers, and Earth sat at the center of the newer, more dynamic one. While the TEZ grew economically, Admiral Jamin O faced a different challenge. As the head of Earth's defense forces, he received daily intelligence reports about Council military movements. Many in Earth's government wanted to build a massive fleet to match the Council's military might. Jamin disagreed. He stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense platform, studying holographic projections of the Sentinel network. Instead of building thousands of warships, Earth had invested in distributed defense systems. Small, automated platforms spread throughout TEZ space, each equipped with advanced sensors and defensive weapons. The Council has 10,000 capital ships, his deputy said. We have barely 300 actual warships. Are you certain this strategy is sufficient? Jamin nodded. The Council expects us to match them ship for ship. That is exactly what we will not do. The Sentinel network is not designed to conquer. It is designed to make conquest impossible. Any aggressor will find themselves facing not a fleet, but an entire region of space that fights back. He pulled up a simulation. An enemy fleet entered TEZ space and was immediately tracked by thousands of small platforms. From every angle, targeted strikes, disabled ships, with precision. No massive battles, no dramatic confrontations. Just efficient, distributed defense. War is expensive, Jamin continued. The Council spends enormous resources maintaining their fleet. We spend a fraction of that on the Sentinel network. This gives us more resources for trade, technology, and culture. We win by making war economically unfavorable. His deputy still looked uncertain. But what if they attack anyway? Jamin's expression hardened. Then they will learn why humanity's stubbornness is legendary. The Sentinels are not our only defense. Every TEZ member world has contributed to the network. An attack on one is an attack on all. The Council would be fighting not just Earth, but 200 civilizations defending their own freedom. While military strategy evolved, Earth launched another initiative that would prove even more powerful. Chancellor Hana Song stood before the newly constructed Terra University, a massive facility on Earth's moon. The campus was designed to accommodate thousands of alien students, with different atmospheric zones, gravity levels, and living conditions. The first class of students arrived from across the TES and beyond, young aliens, eager to learn, to experience human culture, to understand the species that had changed the galaxy so rapidly. They came from wealthy worlds and poor ones, from species that were council members and those that were not. Hana addressed them in the Great Assembly Hall. You are here not just to learn facts and skills, but to understand a philosophy. Earth was told we were not ready for civilization. We responded by asking, whose civilization? Why must the galaxy operate according to rules written by species that achieved spaceflight 10,000 years ago? What if there is a better way? She gestured to the diverse crowd of students. You represent that better way. You come from different worlds, different cultures, different ways of thinking. Here, you will learn from each other as much as from us. When you return home, you will carry with you not just knowledge, but connections. You will be ambassadors of a new age. The students listened intently. Many of them would indeed return home and rise to positions of influence. They would remember their time on Earth, the friendships they made, the ideas they encountered. They would become a generation that thought differently about the galaxy's future. In the council chamber on Nexus Station, Councillor Velrith called an emergency session. The holographic displays showed data that could no longer be ignored. 40 council member worlds were experiencing internal pressure to withdraw and join the TES. Trade routes were shifting away from council worlds toward Earth-aligned systems. The Terran credit was more stable than council currency. Independent worlds that once begged for council attention now ignored council overtures entirely. This cannot continue, Velrith declared. Earth is undermining the foundation of galactic order. They must be stopped. 17. Markintated, Velrith declared. Councillor Luminex, the being of pure energy, pulsed with uncertainty. How do we stop economic competition? Earth has broken no laws. They have not attacked anyone. They simply offer better terms than we do. Then, we must make them an offer they cannot refuse, another councillor suggested. Lift the restrictions. Invite Earth to join the Council on favorable terms. Bring them into our system before their alternative system grows stronger. Velrith's scales rippled with agitation. Absolutely not. That would be admitting we were wrong. It would show weakness. Pride or survival, Councillor, Luminex replied. Those are our choices. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a decision was made. The Council would issue an ultimatum. Earth must dissolve the Terran Economic Zone and submit to Council authority, or face military action. It was a desperate move. But the Council believed their military superiority would force compliance. The message was transmitted to Earth with great ceremony. Director Kang, now in his 80s but still sharp, received the ultimatum in his office. Ji-Wan stood beside him, along with Minji, Sunho, and other key figures in Earth's government. They read the message in silence. They are threatening war, Minji said quietly. They are bluffing, Sunho replied. Their own members would not support it. Kang held up his hand for silence. Whether they are bluffing or not, we must respond. And our response must be clear. He activated the communication system, broadcasting to every corner of the TES and throughout Council space. His message was simple and direct. The Galactic Council has demanded that Earth dissolve the Terran Economic Zone and submit to their authority. They threaten military action if we refuse. To the Council, I say this. Earth will not submit. We will not dissolve partnerships built on mutual respect and free choice. We will not force our friends to return to a system that exploited them for centuries. He paused, his voice growing stronger. However, we will not attack. We will not fire the first shot. We will simply continue to offer the galaxy a better choice. If the Council chooses war over cooperation, the galaxy will see clearly who truly threatens peace. The message ended. Across the TEZ, billions of beings watched and waited. Many Council member worlds held emergency sessions, debating whether they would support military action against Earth. The answer from most was a clear no. The Council had issued its ultimatum, but in doing so, had revealed its weakness. Force was their only response to competition, and many in the galaxy were tired of threats. Earth had offered something different: opportunity without coercion, partnership without hierarchy, growth without exploitation. On Unity Station, Sunho received reports of 10 more worlds announcing their intention to leave the Council and join the TEZ. The ultimatum had backfired spectacularly. Instead of intimidating Earth's partners, it had accelerated the Council's collapse. Ji-won looked at the data and shook her head in wonder. We were exiled 10 years ago. Now we are the center of a galactic movement. Kang smiled. We did not seek to replace the Council. We simply built something better and let others choose. Choice is powerful, Ji-won. It is the one thing the Council never truly offered. The rise was complete. Now came the confrontation that would determine the galaxy's future. The Council fleet assembled at the edge of TEZ space was impressive by any measure. 5,000 warships from 20 different species, representing the military might of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. War Marshal Threnix commanded from the flagship Dominance, a massive vessel that had seen 3 centuries of service. He studied the tactical displays with growing unease. Status report, Threnix ordered. His tactical officer responded immediately. We have achieved full deployment at the designated coordinates. All ships are ready for combat operations. However, Marshal, I must report significant concerns. Explain. Over half the Council member worlds refuse to contribute ships to this fleet. Several of our own vessels are reporting morale issues. The crews are questioning why we are attacking peaceful trading partners. Lov. 2. Threnix slammed his appendage against the command console. They question because they do not understand the threat. Earth is undermining everything the Council has built. If we allow this to continue, the Council will collapse entirely. What Threnix did not say aloud was his own doubt. He had reviewed Earth's actions carefully. They had not attacked anyone. They had not seized territory. They had simply offered better terms and allowed others to choose. How did one fight an enemy whose weapon was choice itself? Ambassador Ji-won Park stood in the command center on Unity Station, watching the Council fleets approach on the tactical display. Around her, representatives from 200 TEZ worlds waited nervously. Many had never experienced war. The prospect terrified them. Admiral Jamin O stood beside her, calm despite the circumstances. The Sentinel network is active. We are tracking every ship in their fleet. If they attack, we can respond. How many will we lose? Someone asked from the crowd. Jamin considered the question carefully. If they attack with full force, we will lose ships and lives. But they will lose more. The Sentinels are designed for exactly this scenario. However, I do not believe they will attack. Why not? The same voice asked. Because they are already fracturing. As if to prove his point, the tactical display began showing changes in the Council fleet formation. Several ships were breaking away from the main group, moving toward neutral positions. The communication channels lit up with transmissions. Ji-won activated the main screen. Messages were pouring in from Council fleet captains. They were brief but clear. Many expressed refusal to attack peaceful worlds. Some asked for asylum in TEZ space. Others simply stated they were returning home. War Marshal Threnix watched his fleet disintegrate in real time. The captain of the vessel, Reconciliation, a ship from the Mevian species, sent a direct message to his flagship. Marshal, with respect, the Mevian government has ordered us to stand down. We will not participate in this action. We are withdrawing. 3 more ships followed immediately. Then 10. Then 30. Species that had contributed to the Council fleet for centuries were refusing to fight. Not out of cowardice, but out of principle. They saw no enemy here worth fighting. Threnix felt his carefully planned military operation crumbling. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, maintain formation. This is a direct order from Council Command. Any ship that withdraws will face severe consequences. The response was not what he hoped for. More ships broke formation. Some captains responded with messages explaining that their home governments had already withdrawn from the Council. They were no longer bound by Council authority. Aboard Unity Station, Admiral O had been waiting for this moment. He activated the Sentinel network to full display mode. Every Council ship suddenly found itself locked by targeting systems. Thousands of small platforms throughout the region oriented toward the fleet, weapons ready but not armed. Jamin broadcast a message directly to the Council fleet. This is Admiral Jamin O, of Earth Defense. You are being tracked by the Sentinel network. We have established targeting locks on every vessel in your fleet. However, we will not fire. We are not your enemy. We are simply people who chose a different path. He paused, letting his words sink in. You came here for conquest. We offer you trade. You came for submission. We offer partnership. Your leaders ordered you to attack peaceful worlds engaged in legal commerce. You must decide whether to follow those orders. On the dominance. Threnix stared at his tactical display. The Sentinel network was far more extensive than Council intelligence had estimated. If he ordered an attack, his fleet would be devastated before they closed to effective combat range. But more than that, he could see the morale indicators on his own ships. His crews did not want to fight. Marshal, his second-in-command, said quietly, "We have lost operational cohesion. Over 40% of our fleet has withdrawn or refused orders. If we attack now, we will be destroyed." And for what? To enforce trade restrictions that most of the galaxy opposes? Threnix felt the weight of failure settling on him. He was a warrior, trained for combat, prepared for honorable battle. But this was not a battle he could win through force. Earth had outmaneuvered the Council without firing a shot. All ships, stand down, Threnix ordered quietly. Maintain position, but do not advance. On Unity Station, cheers erupted as the Council fleet halted its advance. The TES representatives embraced each other. Relief and joy mixing together. They had faced down the Council's military might and survived without firing a shot. But Jiwan did not cheer. She watched the Council fleet with sadness rather than triumph. She saw thousands of soldiers who had been ordered to fight a pointless battle. She saw the collapse of an institution that had governed the galaxy for thousands of years. There was no joy in watching something die, even if it had become corrupt. Director Kang appeared on a communication screen, broadcasting from Earth. His elderly face showed both relief and weariness. "To the Council fleet," Kang said. "You came here under orders. We understand that. You were told Earth was a threat. We are not. We are simply people who wanted to be treated fairly. We invite any ship that wishes to visit Unity Station to do so. Come see what we have built. Meet our partners. Judge for yourselves whether we are the danger your leaders claim." It was a calculated risk, but it paid off. Within hours, dozens of Council ships requested permission to dock at Unity Station. Their captains wanted to see Earth's operation firsthand. To understand what had motivated so many worlds to join the TES, Captain Daehyun Lee, now promoted to diplomatic coordinator, personally greeted each visiting captain. He took them on tours of Unity Station, showed them the trade agreements, the cultural exchanges, the educational programs. He introduced them to representatives from species that had prospered under TEZ partnership. One captain, a veteran officer from the Aquilan Empire named Tarven, was particularly skeptical. He questioned everything he saw, looking for evidence of coercion or manipulation. Finally, After a full day of investigation, he approached Daehyun with a troubled expression. "I do not understand," Tarvin admitted. "Where is the control? Where is the hierarchy? How does Earth maintain dominance without authority?" Daehyun smiled. "Earth does not maintain dominance. We do not seek to control our partners. We succeed when they succeed. That is the fundamental difference between the TES and the Council." Tarvin shook his head. "This should not work. It is too idealistic. Too naive." "Yet it does work," Daehyun replied. "Look around. 200 civilizations choosing to work together because they benefit from cooperation. No threats, no tribute, just mutual respect and shared prosperity." Back on Nexus Station, the council chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other, blame flying in every direction. The military operation had failed without a shot fired. Worse, the failure had accelerated the council's collapse. In the days following the failed confrontation, 30 more member worlds announced their withdrawal. Councillor Velrith sat in his crystalline throne, watching the civilization he had helped lead for centuries crumble around him. Councillor Luminex approached, pulsing with sadness. "It is over," Luminex said quietly. "The council, as we knew it, is finished." Velrith wanted to argue, but he knew it was true. The council had been built on the assumption that smaller, younger species needed guidance from elder civilizations. Earth had proven that assumption wrong. The younger species did not need rulers. They needed partners. "What do we do now?" Velrith asked. And it was the first time in centuries he had asked that question, without already knowing the answer. Luminex pulsed with uncertainty. "We adapt, or we become irrelevant." On Earth, in the rebuilt United Nations building, leaders gathered to discuss their unexpected victory. They had prepared for war and instead achieved a transformation. The galaxy had changed, not through violence, but through example. Minji stood before the assembly, now older but still sharp. "The Council's confrontation has accelerated everything. We estimate that within a year, over half the Council's members will have joined the TES. The Council will still exist, but as a shadow of its former power." "What happens next?" someone asked. Jiwan, who had witnessed both Earth's rejection and its rise, answered that question. "Now comes the hard part. We have built an alternative to the Council. We must prove it can last, that it can govern fairly, that it truly is better." The easy part was winning. The hard part is living up to our ideals. The confrontation was over. The TES had won without firing a shot. But as Jiwan understood, winning was just the beginning. Now, they had to build something that would endure. 20 years had passed since the failed council confrontation. Dr. Minji Choi, now coordinator of the Terran Economic Zone, stood before the TES assembly on Unity Station. Her hair had turned silver, and lines creased her face, but her eyes remained sharp and focused. Before her sat representatives from over 400 civilizations, nearly double the number that had attended the first assembly. The chamber was vast, a marvel of engineering that accommodated the incredible diversity of galactic life. Some representatives breathed oxygen. Others required methane atmospheres contained in specialized pods. Some stood on legs, others floated in magnetic fields. The translation systems worked seamlessly, turning every voice into a language every species could understand. Minji began her address with a simple statement. 20 years ago, we gathered to formalize an alternative to the Galactic Council. Today, we gather as the dominant political and economic force in this galaxy. We achieved this not through conquest, but through choice. Not through force, but through fairness. Today, I want to reflect on that journey and what it means for our future. She activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Blue regions marked TES space, covering more than half the known galaxy. Red regions showed the remnants of the old council, now called the Legacy Council, controlling perhaps a quarter of former council territory. The rest was independent, or unaligned space. We were exiled, Minji continued. Earth was told we were not ready for civilization. They were wrong about our character, but right about one thing. We would change the galaxy. We did not change it through war or domination. We changed it by asking a simple question. What if there is a better way? The assembly listened in respectful silence. Many of the representatives had been part of the original TES. Others had joined in the years since, leaving the council to embrace Earth's alternative. A message appeared on Minji's screen. It was from the Legacy Council, requesting an audience. She had been expecting this. She acknowledged the message and looked back at the assembly. The Legacy Council has requested a meeting. They seek not confrontation, but dialogue. After 20 years of separation, they wish to discuss reunification. This assembly must decide how to respond. The debate that followed was intense. Some representatives wanted nothing to do with the council that had rejected them. Others argued for reconciliation. Finally, a vote was called. By a narrow margin, the assembly agreed to meet with Legacy Council representatives. 3 days later, a council delegation arrived at Unity Station. Leading them was Councillor Velrith, now ancient even by Aquilon standards. His scales had dulled with age, and he moved slowly, but his mind remained sharp. Accompanying him were representatives from the remaining council worlds, including the Aquilon Empire. Minji greeted them personally in a neutral conference room. The symbolism was not lost on anyone present. 20 years ago, Earth's ambassador had stood alone before the council, seeking admission. Now, council representatives came to Earth's station, seeking terms. Velrith spoke first, his voice weaker than it had once been but still carrying authority. Coordinator Choi, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. The Legacy Council wishes to formally apply for membership in the Terran Economic Zone. The words hung in the air. It was an admission of defeat, a recognition that Earth's vision had prevailed. Minji nodded slowly. Before we discuss membership, I must ask, why now? You have maintained the Legacy Council for 20 years. What has changed? Velrith's scales rippled with what might have been embarrassment. We were wrong. About Earth. About the younger species. About how the galaxy should be governed. We believed that age and experience granted us the right to rule. We did not understand that wisdom comes not from age alone, but from learning and adapting. He gestured to the other council representatives. Our worlds are stagnating while TES worlds prosper. Our young people leave to study at Terra University. Our merchants cannot compete with TES trade networks. Our culture is becoming irrelevant while Earth's culture spreads across the galaxy. We can continue in isolation, clinging to pride, or we can admit our mistake and join something better. Minji studied the old counselor. She saw genuine humility there, something she had never expected from the proud Aquilon leader. But she also knew this decision was not hers alone. The TEZ operates by consensus, Minji explained. Your application will be brought before the assembly. Every member world will have a voice. Some will remember how the council treated them. Some will remember the exile, the restrictions, the dismissal. You must convince them that you have truly changed. Over the following weeks, Legacy Council representatives met with TES members, answering questions, acknowledging past wrongs, and demonstrating their commitment to TES principles. It was humbling for civilizations that had once ruled the galaxy to petition younger species for acceptance. The vote came after extensive debate. In the end, the Assembly voted to accept Legacy Council worlds as TES members, but with conditions. They would enter not as special members with elevated status, but as equals. Their past authority meant nothing here. They would start fresh, bound by the same treaties and principles as every other member. When the vote was announced, Velrith approached Minji privately. Thank you for your mercy. Minji shook her head. This is not mercy. This is principle. The TES exists because we believe every civilization deserves respect and opportunity, regardless of their past. That includes Earth's former enemies. Velrith's scales shimmered with emotion. When we exiled Earth, we thought we were protecting the galaxy from danger. We did not realize we were creating our own obsolescence. Humanity did not destroy us with weapons. You destroyed us with a better idea. Minji smiled sadly. We did not seek to destroy you. We simply wanted to be treated fairly. When you refused, we built something new. You are welcome to join it, not as rulers, but as partners. While political reconciliation unfolded, a new generation was already shaping the galaxy's future. Captain Sora Lee, daughter of the late Captain Daehyun Lee, commanded the exploration vessel Unity's Promise. Her mission was to seek out isolated civilizations in unexplored regions, offering contact and partnership. Sora stood on her ship's bridge, studying scan results from a distant star system. Signs of industrial civilization were evident, but no faster than light capability. A young species, taking their first steps into space. Prepare the standard greeting package, Sora ordered. Let's see if they want to meet the wider galaxy. Her first officer, a Kilari named Windrunner, checked the communication systems. Captain, how do we explain the TES to a species that has never encountered aliens before? Sora smiled. We tell them the truth. That the galaxy is vast and full of different civilizations. That we are here not to conquer or control, but to offer friendship and trade. That they have a choice in how they engage with galactic civilization. That is the gift Earth gave the galaxy. Choice. The greeting was sent. Within hours, a response came. Filled with excitement and curiosity, another civilization was taking its first steps into the galactic community. Unlike Earth's experience, they would be welcomed with open arms. On Earth, in a university auditorium in Seoul, Professor Junho Park addressed a class of students from dozens of species. He was the grandson of Ambassador Ji-won Park, carrying on her legacy of diplomacy and education. Today, we discuss the Terran Way, Junho began. This term has become popular across the galaxy. But what does it actually mean? A student from a recently contacted species raised an appendage. It means humans are in charge. Yes? Junho shook his head. No. That is exactly what it does not mean. The Terran Way is not about human dominance. It is a philosophy that can be summed up simply. Civilization is built by lifting others up, not by standing on them. He pulled up historical records showing Earth's exile from the Council. When Earth was rejected, we had a choice. We could accept the galaxy as it was, or we could work to change it. We chose change, but not through force, through example. Another student asked, "But Professor, you did change the galaxy." The council fell. Does that not make Earth dominant? Junho considered the question carefully. Earth is influential. Yes, we sit at the center of the TES because we founded it. But influence and dominance are different things. Every TEZ member has an equal vote. Every civilization maintains its sovereignty. If Earth proposed a bad policy, it would be voted down like any other member. He smiled at his diverse class. The Terran Way is not Earth's way imposed on others. It is a framework that allows every civilization to contribute their own ideas, their own culture, their own wisdom. We are stronger together precisely because we are different. The philosophy was spreading far beyond Earth. Civilizations across the galaxy were adopting principles of fair trade, voluntary association, and mutual respect. It was becoming normal to treat partners as equals rather than subjects. The old hierarchical model was dying not because it was defeated, but because it was obsolete. On Unity Station, Coordinator Minji Choi prepared for her final act as coordinator. She was stepping down after 20 years of service, making way for new leadership. Her successor had been elected by the Assembly. Ambassador Brightwater of Kellar, the first non-human to lead the TES. At her retirement ceremony, Minji addressed the assembly one last time. When I was young, I helped design the Dominion Protocol. We estimated it would take 3 generations to change the galaxy. We were wrong. It took 1 generation. Not because Earth is special, but because the galaxy was ready for change. They just needed someone to show them it was possible. She looked out at the representatives from hundreds of worlds. I am proud of what we built together, but I am even more proud of what you will build next. The TES is not Earth's creation. It belongs to all of us. Guard it well, keep it fair. Never let it become what the Council became. The assembly rose in respect, a gesture of appreciation that transcended species and culture. Later, Minji stood in the observation deck of Unity Station, looking out at the stars. Beside her stood Ambassador Ji-won Park, now in her 90s, but still alert and engaged. We did it, Ji-won said quietly. Everything we hoped for. Minji nodded. We did. Earth was exiled, told we were not ready for civilization. Now we are the heart of galactic civilization. Not because we conquered, Ji-won added. No, Minji agreed. Because we offered something better. Because we stubbornly refused to accept the galaxy as it was. They stood in comfortable silence, 2 architects of a new age, watching the stars and the countless ships moving between them. Trade vessels, exploration ships, student transports, cultural exchanges. The galaxy was connected in ways it had never been before, not through hierarchy and control, but through voluntary cooperation and mutual benefit. In the rebuilt United Nations building on Earth, a plaque was unveiled in the main hall. Dignitaries from across the galaxy attended the ceremony. The plaque was simple, carved from Earth stone, with words in every major galactic language. Exiled from a council, humanity built a home for the galaxy. Not through force, but through hope. Not through conquest, but through conviction. This is the dominion not of empires, but of dreams. Coordinator Brightwater read the words aloud, his voice carrying through translation to every species present. These words remind us what we built together. Not an empire, but a dream. The dream that different civilizations can work together as equals. That the strong can protect the weak, not for control, but because it is right. That the galaxy can be better than it was. He looked at the assembled crowd, humans and aliens standing together. Earth gave us this dream. Now it belongs to all of us. Let us guard it, and pass it to the next generation even better than we received it. The ceremony ended. The crowd dispersed. Life continued across the galaxy. Billions of beings living, working, creating, and dreaming. The Council had rejected Earth for being too dangerous, too unpredictable, too different. They had been right about one thing. Earth did change everything. Just not through danger, but through hope. The legacy was not one species dominating the galaxy. The legacy was a galaxy where every species had a voice, where cooperation was stronger than control, where the future belonged to all who dared to imagine something better. Earth had been exiled. In response, Earth built not an armada, but a galaxy-shaking dominion of shared dreams and mutual respect. And in the end, that proved stronger than any fleet, more enduring than any empire, and more transformative than any conquest could ever be.